Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your November forecast. Great to see you. I hope that this month is getting off to a really good start for everybody. And I'd like to begin by talking about Mercury retrograde. This is something I'm sure you've seen online if you've been watching other forecasts, and I know I get a lot of questions about how to handle Mercury retrograde energy. So before we get started, let's talk about that a little bit. Most of you already know what this does, but let me just highlight it quickly. In a Mercury retrograde, the planet appears like it's going in reverse. It's not, it's an illusion. But what's happening during this period for us here on planet Earth is that communication, first and foremost, becomes a little bit more difficult. It doesn't mean that, you have to stop all things written or spoken. Of course not. We have to continue through our lives. It just means allow some extra time for proofreading, for getting a second set of eyes or ears on whatever you're writing or speaking about. Because it's easy sometimes to lose context. So that's the first thing to be mindful of. Technology tends to be a little bit glitchy during this period, so if you're going to launch anything online or if you're dependent on technology, just make sure that you have redundancies built in and backups. If you do that, you should be fine. And the third thing to be mindful of course, is travel. And there are invariably some delays when you are either booking or sometimes even when you're en route to a place, something will be rescheduled. So just be flexible and buffer in extra time. All of these things you can actually manage, and retrograde sometimes just gets a bad rap, I think, especially because there are some hidden blessings that occur during this period, and I want to highlight them. I'm doing that in each and every reading this month. The first one that I think is going to be of great interest to everyone here on the channel is that your intuition is heightened. So don't be surprised this month if your dreams are a lot more vivid. Whatever your key gift is, whether you're a medium or if you're clairvoyant or if you're empathic, whatever it is that you sort of have a gift for tuning into, this month you're going to probably receive things a little bit more intensely, and you could also be getting messages at odd times. Despite that, what I've noticed in my life, I'll give you a couple of real life examples, is if I'm having a difficulty with a friend, a coworker, someone that I love or care about, or if someone's in danger, or maybe trying to do something that's not so great to me, whatever it is, if it's something that I need to know about but I don't, it comes through, and usually very clearly in a dream or in a vision or in a meditation. I just see it as clear as day. And this doesn't happen all of the time. Retrograde, it does. And I think the reason is because retrograde is a period where the veil is lifted and you're supposed to resolve things. Resolve any sort of loose ends that are keeping you from going forward at the velocity that you should, from achieving the goals that you should. And so sometimes it's uncomfortable because we want to kind of close our eyes, sort of like the Two of Swords card, and not look at things. But this particular period of time is going to be a revelation period where anything you've swept under the rug, anything that's trying to be, or that people are trying to hide from you, or anything that is putting you in danger, it comes through very vividly. So that's a blessing. It's a good thing to know that you have to kind of work and deal with these things. The other thing that I've noticed is that retrograde is a really great time to be successful at something that you previously were not successful at. So it's a second chance to succeed, basically. And so if you want to revise something, if you want to revisit something, or if you're looking at fixing something that, even in the house, like a renovation, there's a rule of thumb, almost anything that starts with RE. So revise, review, renovate, all of those things are fine during this period because you're not starting something new. You're wrapping up something or you're fixing something. So if you have anything in your life that needs attention, this is the time to do it. Also, if there's a cycle that you want to break in your life, this is a good time to try to get that out of your system as well. So I actually love this period because all of those things that I have to take care of or anything that I haven't had luck with, I typically am able to overcome. And I hope that you play around with some of that positive energy of retrograde and then just do a little bit extra planning to deal with the stuff that is more of a pain, okay? Before I get too deep into the forecast, I'd like to take a moment to, first of all, thank all of my return viewers for your support, for continuing to work on yourself. It's truly the reason that I show up every month. So thanks for being you and thanks for showing up. If you're brand new, I'd like to give you a warm welcome and tell you who I am. My name is Ashbaugh, and every month, this is how I organize the readings. There's 4 major parts to it. The first one is channeled information. And similar to what we just did, it's going to be very fluid. I'll be using my clairvoyance and telling you whatever I hear, feel, or see. After that, I will select a deck of cards and pull a full Celtic cross. And while I do that, I will pick up on additional information. And when we look at the cross, we're going to see all the highlights, all the challenges, and everything in between. I then extend the forecast to look at some major areas that I know you like, and that includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. That's the expanded forecast. And if you enjoy what you see here, I hope that you stick around until the very end, because in addition to all that we just talked about, I'll do a nice overview because I know it's a lot to take in. So within 5 to 7 minutes, I'll give you everything in a nice package and then a closing word. At that point, I will also go into a few details on how you can give back if you want to support the channel. And just quickly, that would be everything from liking and subscribing to joining me on social media and sharing there if you would like to as well. You can book an appointment if you ever want to talk more about something that we talk about here. And also, I have a way that you can become a patron, which is basically a way to give a contribution, one time or continuing. And all of these things help me with getting supplies for the channel, setting up the time for producing it, and I'll go into all of that and more at the very end of this reading. However, right now, I know that I'm interested in what this month has to bring in, so I'm sure you are too. Let's get into your channeled message for November. As I selected a deck of cards and I began to meditate on your sign, the first image that came to me was that of a parachute. I felt that I was holding on, letting go of something, and moving towards a new destination. What I was moving away from and where I was headed, that didn't initially make itself clear, but what I focused on as I was going through that was this feeling of liberation, hope, and then also it was almost like a free falling or release. And in my mind, I heard, just let go. And what I wrote down was afterwards, and when I was doing the automatic writing, the law of detachment is going to be really important for you this month. So I captured that idea that you just need to let go, embrace this feeling of liberation, and focus on knowing what you want, but not trying to control each and every turn to make it happen. The law of detachment exists when you have set everything up, you make space for something, you can actively work towards making a goal happen, but there's this little playful part of your mind that is present during this manifestation that is not going to bank everything on something having to happen. So you basically think to the universe, this would be nice, but I can handle it either way. And I would actually advise you to even set up a plan B and plan C. And so while you're waiting for something to come through, this could be applying for a new job, this could be sending something out for review, whatever it is, it feels like, or even putting a bid in for a house, whatever it is that you want, it feels like there's either competition, delay, paperwork, or approval that is going to somehow make you be in a sort of limbo for a little bit. So during this limbo period, you could either fixate on wondering what's going on and why you're not hearing, or you could focus on dealing with what you can manage right now and what else you might be able to manifest in your future. And ironically, as you start to kind of move towards other things and just think, forget about it, I'm moving on, you may actually start to see the progress that you want, because what happens on the other end is that there are people that can kind of also sense your energy. And when they sense this feeling that maybe you're moving on, or that you're just having this really kind of relaxed energy about yourself, you're more attractive. It's kind of like playing hard to get, but on a sort of metaphysical sense. So I want you to just take a deep breath this month and believe that whatever it is you're waiting for or trying to make happen, you've done everything you can. Now focus on something else. If you don't find yourself in this limbo, then I think what I'm seeing for many of you is this would be a great time to take a break, a vacation, some sort of a pause from whatever you're doing. I know I talked about the risk of traveling during retrograde, but at the very end of the month, that's wrapping up. So if any time from the 20th on, you could take some sort of a vacation or a leave of absence or something like that. And I think it's just a good time for you to focus on planning for 2020. What's the next big thing? What do you want to focus on next? And what's great about this too is I want you to feel completely free to do whatever your heart and soul desires. This needs to feel exciting. There needs to be a sense that you're not doing something because you have to. So that's going to be really important to opening up new opportunities. And to that end, if there's anything that you've wanted to do this year, maybe it is, learning something new, going and learning how to speak a language that you don't know, or going to art school, or whatever it is that you want to kind of embark on, and it's just for you. Do that, because what you're going to be doing is setting up the next 3 to 5 years by this little tiny movement right now. So this is a transitional period for many of you. It's a time of experimentation. Another image that comes to mind is this is kind of a sandbox. And if you can just view it as a time to play and not worrying so much if something gets knocked down or if it takes longer to build than you thought, having fun is going to be really key. So as we look at the cards here in a moment, I'm going to look and see if there's that energy of playfulness, to see how long you might be waiting, if there is a deadline for some of you. And let's see what else is coming through, because as I said, it's not all about whatever it is that you're trying to sort of control there. Okay? All right, let's go ahead now and take a look and see what additional insights the cards have to yield for the month ahead. I like to remain quiet at this point, but I'll join you after everything has been laid out, so stick around. So Libra, we have a beautiful card coming through in your catalyst position. The title of it is Return to Spirit, and just a reminder that the catalyst functions as not only a connective thread for everything, but also advice on how you can access the highest frequency energy in the month. This particular card reminds me of a phoenix, and it's also almost like the phoenix is flexing. I see the strength and the beauty in this energetic flow here. What I want to say when I'm looking at this is that some of you are possibly just getting over a disappointment or some sort of frustration, something where it seemed like at first glance that things were not going your way. Whatever seemed to have fallen away, fallen apart, or whatever block is in front of you, it's actually a blessing, and you're going to emerge from this situation either better prepared or stronger, and there may be something much better on the horizon. So if you were applying for a job and that didn't work, there's a better job that's waiting for you. If there was a friend and they showed their true colors, then you're going to be opening up space in your heart, especially given the shape of this, for someone that carries a higher energetic signature and frequency and is going to be a better match for you. I've been mentioning to several signs this month, because it's been a consistent message, that I see many people raising in frequency. That's, as I was saying earlier, what retrograde really is about for all of us. So if you're doing that, it's natural for certain people to fall away, because as you continue to rise up and increase your light, increase your clarity, sort of let go of some of the lower frequencies, people around you either do the same or they fall away. And it feels like for some of you, there is that separation or falling away. But you're getting higher and you're going to be able to see things for what they are. So on some levels, it gets easier to kind of walk away from some of the nonsense when this happens. So this month, keep a nice, even mind and energy. And if something comes through and initially it's kind of upsetting for you, I want you to meditate on it a little bit and see if you can't see the higher blessing in it, because the return to spirit shows me that you're actually getting closer to whatever it is you're trying to create. So there's a perceived block or setback that is actually going to help open you up and bring in something better. You're going to get an upgrade, basically, okay? The other thing that I'm seeing with this is that many of you are deciding to get back to something that truly matters to you. And a comparison in my own life was when I decided to quit my corporate job. I had been doing something that I was successful at, but I felt my heart was taking me in a new direction. I'm so glad I did it, because I wouldn't be here talking to you if I hadn't taken that risk. But you don't always know where you're going to go sometimes, and I wasn't sure when I first did that. I just knew that I had a calling and it was taking me somewhere else. So I feel like some of you may be going into something that is more heart-centric or truer to your spirit. So whether that's a job of service, or you're going to do something that you came to this planet to do, whatever it is, walk that walk, take a chance, take a leap. I feel like it's going to be exciting for you. In fact, as we look at the two cards here in the center, they're kind of telling that story. We have the Five of Wands. This is a card of working really hard. And I can tell that you're not alone this month. This Five of Wands has been showing up everywhere. And so I feel like a lot of us are having a difficult time maybe motivating ourselves or understanding what all the work is about. The good news is right on top of that Five of Wands, you have the World card. And the World card, as you know, is the final card in the major arcana. So it marks an end of a phase. And when I was looking at your channeled message earlier, I mentioned that you're kind of in that limbo or in the nexus between an end and a beginning. And therefore, this is going to be sometimes an uneasy or even an uncertain time for you. And what you really want to do is now, more than ever, ground yourself in what it is you want to create in your life. And really feel it, mind, body, and spirit, in your visualization. Even as we talk here, I have a vision board in the distance. It reminds me of projects and things that I want to do, and it keeps me centered. In every walk of my day and in every reading and everything that I'm doing, I have high-level goals that I'm trying to help myself with, help clients with, and help the world with. And as I start to ground myself in that, even as I talk about it, I feel a crown awakening. And I think it's really important for all of us to have those sort of three levels of goals. What am I trying to do for myself? What am I trying to do for my family and my community? What am I trying to do before I leave this planet for the world? I think when we grow up and we go to school, we're too often sort of just taught to do something that makes sense because our parents did it, or it makes us money, or it has a status symbol attached to it. The Return to Spirit card is saying, but what do you want to do? When I was in graduate school, I had a professor, and he waited until the last day after I got my diploma, and he said, so what do you want to do with your life now? And I kind of felt like the floor fell out from underneath me. After going to undergraduate and graduate school, finally I have someone asking me that question, and it panicked me because I kind of knew, but I didn't have my plan in place. He was nice enough to pick up the phone and help me get a job, which was awesome. But I actually wish someone had asked me that question 6 years before I went through all of that. So I'm pushing that out to all of you today. You don't have to have the answer right now, but I would love for you over the course of November and December, for that matter, to really start to put in some high-level goals for yourself. Back when I was in corporate, there was something called like an AOP, an annual operating plan, I think. And it was basically, you would sit down and you would look out at 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. So I think that would be a really great thing to do for you, for your own life. What are you trying to do in the short term, the midterm, and long term? And for that final thing that I'm talking about, the planetary goal, if you were to step off this planet tomorrow, for whatever reason, ascend to the next dimension, or it was the last day because you passed away, whatever, would you have regrets? And if you would have any regrets, that's what you have to do. I talk about making regrets goals so that they don't have to be a regret. And so that's why we're having this conversation now. And I keep reminding all of you of this simple thing, that work shouldn't just be something that you show up for. You really have a sort of like soul work that you're doing on the planet. So after you're a kid and you get done with the homework and you graduate from college, or you go and have a job and all this other stuff, the work never ends. But when you work with the soul, with the spirit energy, that's when you're going to actually see the breakthrough. Synchronicities should start to open up for you. Doors that were closed will open, but you have to be working the path that truly means something to you and truly makes a difference to your heart and your soul. Only you can decide what that is. I can tell you, though, that this is the month to start opening that door up and exploring a little bit, okay? Because otherwise, it's just work and you're kind of going through the motions, and this life is too precious for that, all right? With that being said, I realize many of you have some short-term responsibilities that you have to take care of. That could be raising a family, that could be paying off your bills or your loans, and I have good news for you. It does look like for some of you there is a step-up opportunity. The World card was crossing the center, which means that it's an accessible energy for you, and this sometimes involves moving, but if you're willing to have a transfer or potentially take a different role within the company, which could be in a different division, there's a chance to move up. So if that's something that you need to do for the short term, we talked about those 3 levels of goals, then that's something you want to explore and talk to your boss about, okay? Because when I'm looking at your deep past, it feels like many of you are a little bit kind of like beaten down or burned out on your current track. We have the 5 of Pentacles card, and it's reversed. I'm just going to pull it in the upright position so you can see the illustration. When we're looking at money or respect, the 5 of Pentacles will come through when people are not kind of expressing appreciation or supporting us in the way that we need to be supported. So it feels like some of you are just feeling a little let down or not appreciated. So one thing that you'll want to be focusing on over the next calendar year, especially if you stay in your current position, if you're working, is to figure out, how can I make sure that my voice is heard? What am I going to do with my boss to make sure that we kind of put some of this into my career plan and make sure that it's achievable? When we kind of take it out of the lens of work, the 5 of Pentacles is stating that one of the lessons from the past that you want to focus on is healing anything that you're harboring from your childhood. A lot of times this has to do with parents and children. It can sometimes be siblings, but it's usually parents and children. So if you are a parent and you're raising a family, this could be sort of a card that's indicating maybe guilt that you're not spending more time with them, or a feeling like you wish you had more intimacy and a connection with them. So that can be one of your goals this month, is how can I have a better rapport with my children? If you're grown up and you didn't get along with your parents when you were a kid, there's room to forgive yourself, to forgive them, or there's room to maybe make a difference for the next generation. Because sometimes, let's face it, it's hard to, some family members don't want to have that repair happen, but you can work on your own heart, work on understanding that maybe your parents just had a limited capacity to understand who you are and maybe weren't ready to raise a family. But you could be a mentor for someone else, and you can do the work to get any counseling, support, or healing that you need so that you're taken care of. Basically, you're going to find the internal maternal or paternal energy that you have. We all have it, divine masculine, divine feminine, and just heal yourself, okay? Because once you do that and work on your self-esteem and self-respect, then that bubbles up to wherever you're working and however other people are seeing you in the public perspective. The good news, by the way, is your crowning card is 9 of Pentacles. So I do see a major shift as we're looking not only at this next month, but I would say this is probably more about the next year. I see more independence, more respect, more opportunities flowing in. There's a little work, though, to do on self-confidence and maybe a rejection or someone that just didn't support you the way you needed to be supported in the past. Once you heal that, things start to open up, and you're going to see improvements with relationships and also with money. One final note, and this is more in respect to your health. As you notice here, you'll see like there's a cast on this person's leg, and usually one person's carrying a cane. One thing that you want to be really careful of is just in your day-to-day walking around town. Whenever I see this card, it's a note, especially now in today's society when we're picking up phones and mobile devices and constantly, kind of not paying attention to where we're at. Just be present. Put that in your pocket, put it on Do Not Disturb, and just focus on your surroundings. That's going to be so much healthier for you. And if you have any sort of history, maybe with having a knee surgery, or you have some chronic pain, you'll want to get that looked at, take care of yourself. Just be careful with respect to your leg, your joints, circulation, and just being present when you're walking. All right, as we take a look now at your recent past, we have the King of Cups. For some of you, this could just simply be indicating that there was something that went on that was worthy of a celebration. It can show love coming into your life, a relationship getting more serious, or if you're an artistic type, this is really showing you that your creativity is through the roof this month. So as we sort of reflect upon that return to spirit card at the top, I think that for some of you, it's time to do something new, to channel that energy, to try to kind of hit the reset button. So if you are an artist or a creative type and you've tried to put something out there and you're not having luck, this is saying change the channel, but keep doing what you're doing. Any sort of artist or athlete or performer, the key is to stay within that craft, and eventually things will pick up. With the World card at the center and with this card in the recent past, I feel like you're actually poised in a really good place to see a shift happen very soon. So don't give up. That's what I'm seeing with this. But I often get asked about love and relationships. You could be meeting someone this month. It could be a water sign as well. It showed up in the recent past, so some of you may be trying to decide what to do with it. The rest of you may just sort of be feeling that person's energy starting to come into your life. So I mentioned at the very beginning that, dreams are going to be a lot more clairvoyant this month, a lot more prescient. So if you start to pick up on that person's energy, you could try to meditate and see how you could get yourself ready for that. The one thing that I will kind of give as a warning is that law of detachment. I think this month it's really about you finding your voice, finding your purpose, getting everything sorted out so that whenever this person finally comes into your life, it will just be sort of like icing on the cake. So I mentioned in another sign that the more complete, the more sorted out you are, the higher frequency of partner you'll bring in. So that can give you some motivation to take care of everything in your life. With one last thing with the King of Cups, I do want you to try to have some fun this month. And whether it's celebrating a birthday or celebrating an accomplishment, take some time to give gratitude and thanks, and also just to nurture yourself. That's going to be really important for your productivity, because if you weren't feeling appreciated, if you can't take care of you, how can you expect other people to do the same thing? So make sure that you're taking care of your health, and also making sure that you're having some sort of enjoyment and creative release. Your crowning card is really nice. It's portending positive growth with respect to money and resources. We have the Nine of Pentacles, which in the whole sort of series 1 through 0, aces are great, that shows beginnings, but nines show stability and really having more than enough. And so if you've been in a place of feeling like you're lacking, which is the deep past, and when I look in your environment, we have the Four of Pentacles, which is a fear-based card about, will I have enough? And when I look at your possibilities with the Six of Pentacles, it's showing me the truth of the matter is that you have enough. There's a lot of fear and worry around money, but when we kind of peer into next year and all the energy surrounding you, you're okay. So I think what would be more important for you right now is to keep working hard, keep focusing on what it is that you want to do, and start to shift towards that. Don't take a job just for the money. I think highly successful people work their passion. And I know that we can't always do that at certain points in our career, but start to kind of forecast out to the point where you can do that and get into that trajectory if you're not there. Now, the fact that Nine of Pentacles is in the crowning position shows me that some of you have already started to see positive gains in respect to money or your career. So you might have actually already made the change or the shift or started a new job. And I feel like that's a really good move for those of you that are embarking on something new. Even though you're in retrograde, that energy shows me that a shift in job or employment, it almost seems inevitable for some of you. So whether it's now or 12 months from now, I feel like you're on that path. So good for you if you're doing that. Now, as we look into the near future with the Four of Cups, one thing that I think some of you are possibly needing to be careful of is either rushing through something or missing the fact that there's a blessing or something really awesome right on the horizon. And I think it is because, again, in the past there was a disappointment, some sort of critical energy that was pushed out towards you, and it kind of stuck in your auric field. If there's anybody in your past that you need to let go of, you can do the contract release, which I have on my YouTube channel, on my website. But you could also do a daily meditation, a mantra, if you will. And I want you to reiterate the power that you have to change the future. You could say the past is the past and I'm leaving it there. I'm grateful for the lessons it taught me, but I'm now manifesting, creating, and taking charge of my tomorrow. Everything that you're doing today is creating something better. That's something that the Nine of Pentacles actually teaches us. This illustration's different than the Rider-Waite. I'm going to talk about both though. In this one, you see her sort of harvesting all of these wonderful things that she's created. Think of harvest though, it takes a while. You have to plant things, you have to nurture them, you have to wait. In the traditional Rider-Waite card, you will see a little tiny snail at the bottom. And the snail indicates that things work in the exact speed that they need to work sometimes. So you can't rush certain opportunities, and you can't rush, just like the fruits or vegetables that she's kind of harvesting here, you can't rush picking that. If you do, it's bitter. And for you this month, there is a message that the patience will make the success all the sweeter. Okay? I see something beautiful unfolding for you, but the timing is saying, not just yet. And I want you to be patient, and instead of focusing on the fact that the timing may not be what you want, look at the fact that it's actually manifesting. You've probably received some sort of an indication that you're on the path or that you're on the right path. A synchronicity should appear this month. Don't miss it. You might have already missed one because of a feeling of frustration or anger, and this could be a self-defeating sort of mechanism. So I'm trying to bring it up to you this month so that you can get out of your own way and you can welcome in these awesome opportunities that want to knock on the door. And with the World card, this could involve for some of you moving. You could be moving to a new state, new country, new job. You could be moving to a different type of industry too. So whatever this is, it's a big shift. And I like to sometimes liken this to a really big like cruise ship. You don't see them do a turn on the dime. They have to take a while to move that big ship in another direction. So see your life right at that point where you're starting to crank the wheel, but it's going to take a while for all of that big machinery to move. And if you've been on a career path for a while, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, and now you're making a change, it'll take a while for this to integrate. The same thing is true for any habits that you're shifting in your life. When you're trying to manifest something new, it takes time for that to start to exist in your energy, but the consistency of doing it every day, holding that vision in place, really seeing it, feeling it, drinking it in every morning as you meditate, that's what's going to make it a reality. So don't give up. Stay positive, stay optimistic, focus on the blessings, look at those synchronicities that are starting to come through in your life, and it's going to be okay. All right. The other thing with the Four of Cups is don't compare your success or lack of success to someone else, because it's apples to oranges. And we have that cornucopia up here. Everybody's journey is different and the timing's going to be different because they needed to learn something different than you. Okay. Let's look now at your ego this month. And this is exactly what I was talking about. We have the Seven of Swords in reverse, which when it's an upright card, it means that you might need to be worrying about what people are doing. There could be something tricky going on. Communication may not be all that it seems. When it's reversed, though, it's saying that you could sometimes make a mountain out of a molehill. So you want to be careful and not assume anything. I think it's completely appropriate, in fact, even advisable during a retrograde to have a curious, cautious, even quasi-critical mind when it comes to what you read and what you see. But assume the best of someone unless you're getting some sort of an intuitive vibe when you read it or in your dreams, or you just think to yourself, something's up. Otherwise, I don't want you to just put a blanket distrust on everyone. This isn't the X-Files. We can, if we trust no one, then nobody can come into the wall. I do like Fox Mulder and I love the X-Files, but there is a fallacy unless you're working in the government, and then that might make sense. But in day-to-day life, if we put walls up that are that thick, it's going to be really, really hard. So I want you to start to assume the best and put out in sort of your psychic radar that you will accept nothing but the best. So the picky, rather than sort of being disappointed, allow this to be a discerning card where you say, I'm ready for all of this or better. I'm not going to look for something less than. And so that's fine. That's how you can kind of use this, and then allow that to be a filter. So if you kind of pick up on somebody that has a strange communication style and seems to not follow through on their promises, then yes, you can pay attention to the Seven of Swords. But I just want you to make sure that you're not pulling from a past situation and overlooking some sort of blessing, okay? As we look at your environment, we have the Four of Pentacles and it's reversed. So because all of these cards are reversed, I'm seeing the energy as being a little bit more muted and slightly more in the fear realm. It's interesting, as I'm reading it to you, probably noticed I was scratching my crown chakra. It feels like there's a little agitation for some of you, and I think that you're overthinking things too much. So a lot of times when I read for a client, or if I'm reading energy for a sign, and I get sort of like a crown activation, but it's not a pleasant one, it's sort of like itching sensation. What it tells me is that thoughts are kind of erratic or not grounded. And I think that one of the things you want to do to make sure that you are sorting out fear and frustration or anxiety from reality is, you can even do it with me right now. We'll take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes as you're doing that. Sit upright. Let your shoulders fall up and back, and then just relax your energy for a second. Picture yourself sitting against a tree. Feel that you're, with each breath that you take, you're kind of melting into the energy of the tree. Allow your core to actually connect with the roots of the tree. Send that down into the planet, feeling that you are supported. Reach up for the light, reach up for insight. Also reach up so that you can see things from a bird's eye view. Do this as you're sorting through things. You can open your eyes now, by the way. I love to use a tree because it's nature's natural sort of grounding rod. So if you're ever feeling out of sorts, just walk outside on a lunch break and you can lean nonchalantly against a tree. No one's going to know what you're doing. Or you can touch a tree as you're sort of looking at your phone or something. But while you're doing that, send the fear, send the frustration into the tree, send it into the planet. Allow yourself to feel the grounding, to feel the security that the tree's roots have created. Reach up and then sit there for a minute or two and just give that energy to the tree and then see what you can get back. You'll have a symbiotic sort of energetic flow between the two of you. What I'm seeing for you is I want you to open up your heart, open up your mind, because we have this expressive King of Cups here in the recent past. We have the World card, which shows expansion. And this is a contracting card. If you look closely, it doesn't matter which deck I'm using, always you will see the person covering up their heart space and holding on. And what I want you to do is to, when it comes to resources, money, and anything with respect to sort of the flow of opportunity, feel like the floodgates are wide open. Don't think that it's sort of like, like a little trickling, babbling brook. You want to see a nice river raging through with all of this great energy and opportunity. So open up your heart, trust in yourself at the very least that things are going to improve, and then do something to ground yourself, and I think that's going to help. The Four of Pentacles, by the way, you could do the tree pose. As I'm looking at this upside down, I'm like, what if that person was just doing the tree pose? So in yoga, look it up online. There's a tree pose that you can do. It's going to force you to balance, breathe, and basically become the tree. I think that would be very helpful for you this month. All right, as we look at hopes, fears, and possibilities, I feel like you're in a really good place. We have the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles is my base card for financial success, for stability, for having more than enough. The only thing with the Six of Pentacles is you have to make choices, good choices. And I would say with the card reverse, it's saying make slightly better choices than you have. This doesn't necessarily have to do with just spending. It can also be in respect to who you're spending your time with or your love on, or what decisions you're making with your time management. So it's time, energy, money, love. These are all resources that flow through us and around us. So as long as you are smart and budget everything correctly, you're going to be fine. So we're ending the month on a sign and a symbol that is representative of you, which is good. So we have the Justice card, which is Libra. Things are balanced. You're okay. You're going to be fine. And guess what? You might be finalizing something. A signature on a contract, like maybe you're selling your house, starting a new job. Perhaps you're trying to sell something and you're now kind of being signed up to an agent or a manager. I like this. But what we can see with this is that the projection of time it really depends on your energy and the energy of the person that you're working with. Nine of Pentacles in the crowning position shows that this could expand past this month and even into next year. We're looking at 9 weeks perhaps. So And we're also kind of looking at a 9-month journey for you. I feel like something is going to be sort of created, birthed, or released within that period. So 3/4 of a year, you should be on a completely different path than you are right now. This is the sort of impatience that you're experiencing because of that. But just know that it is maturing. It's just like the baby. It takes time to be ready. And I said, or like fruit or anything, you have to allow for everything to be ready, or it's bitter. The experience won't be what you want it to be, or it will be premature. So don't rush this thing that you're waiting for, this sort of metaphorical baby. It needs time to be birthed properly, okay? So nurture yourself, nurture whatever it is you're trying to bring into fruition, and trust that it's coming and it's going to be okay. As I said that, I got a sharp pain in my stomach, so I know some of you are, it's really hard, I think, to kind of let go. But remember what we were talking about way at the beginning. I literally wrote down, just let go, and feel this sense of liberation as you do it. Detach from having to control that outcome and trust that it's coming and it's going to come in the right time. You need to balance yourself. That's also why I was seeing the tree pose in yoga, because it forces you to get out of your head a little bit and into your body. So practice that, okay? Let's go ahead and expand the forecast. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Your message in health is really to change up your environment. We have the fresh air card, and it's asking Archangel Raphael to help you breathe clearer and easier in all ways. And this has to do with the 2-4 cards we have here. Notice how this person's literally closing down their chest. And then again, the 4 of Pentacles, although it's not as easy to see in this one, typically the person's closing things in. So what you need to do is, I would say, exercises where you're stretching, yoga and Pilates, and just really allowing this heart center to open up. Swimming is also what comes to mind. And I think these things are going to really help you. And of course, getting outside. Doesn't matter what the weather's like. Anywhere where it's a change from being closed in, you need to open up your mind, your energy, and definitely your lungs. When I'm also looking at all of these Pentacles cards, we have the 5, we have the 9, 4, and also 6. I associate these with usually like nutrients, minerals, even protein in your diet. It's all over the place. So one thing that I would like you to do is just make sure that you're having balanced and predictable meal times, and I would say just keeping enough variety within your diet. Obviously, these sorts of things you'd want to talk to your doctor about, but if you're finding that you're sort of snacking more than you should or eating more fast food or whatever it is, just clear things up, clean things up a little bit this month. That's also going to help you feel more grounded, okay? Let's go ahead now and take a look at wealth. We have the Temple path coming through here. This is a card of spiritual awakening, and there's really nice symmetry between this and return of spirit. So for you, this could mean that you're putting priorities in a different sort of light. So, maybe before you thought working at a certain company with a certain name, having a certain title was important, but now perhaps it's more about, is this company sustainable? Is this something that I'm going to feel like I really made a difference while I was doing it, or was all my work expendable? I want you to look at the bigger picture. We live many lives, but this is the one that's important, and this is the one that sets the tone for the next life. So if not for what you're kind of experiencing right now, think of the future. Really try to get it right so that you don't have to keep repeating paths. This is a month of a paradigm shift for your sign. It's really powerful. With that 5 of Wands in the world at the center, the 5 of Wands is indicating the status quo. The world is saying, enough now, it's time to move on. So if you decide to do this, you can do it. But it takes decision, faith. Faith is also what the 4 of Cups is saying. And now we see the faith here with the Temple path. If you believe in what you're building, then everybody else will as well. If you're just showing up and kind of doing a half-hearted job, then what you're building is really a house of cards. So I want you to build the temple, okay? Whether that means working for someone that, inspires you, or whether it means making your own company because you can't find the kind of job that you're looking for. That's something that I experienced. Do what you have to do. There's no right path, there's no wrong path, as long as you're satisfied and feel like you're making a difference, okay? But I'm seeing an intersection between your spiritual path, your creative path, and now your work, okay? As we look at your love card here, which is all relationships in your life, we have daydreams and decisions. This card is a little bit of a nudge for you to get out and to have some fun. The daydreams part of this shows that, yes, part of manifesting is dreaming, but you also need to take action. And as we saw here with the fresh air card, it's time to sort of get out in the world and share your life, share your energy, share your path with others. And it does feel like some of you have been sort of isolated here, even as I'm looking at work. So this is a chance now to get out and to do things. And some of you are deciding, who do I want to be with? The Justice card usually indicates a signing of a contract, but it can also be dissolving. Usually it's reversed, but if it is something where you're stepping away from someone or some situation, it's going to be amicable because the card was upright. And also I see the Six of Pentacles underneath it. So with love, it feels like the universe is just saying, love is ready, but are you? Because the only thing that might be holding it back, this person that I see here, the King of Cups, or your relationship, if you're already in one, from going a little bit deeper or being a little bit more healthy, is that you have to be more present. This is a very etheric card. It's out there. And for love to sort of be in the physical plane, you're going to have to show up a little bit more, okay? But I will say this. You're doing a great job with fixing different parts of your life, and I think that's the most important thing right here and right now, is to make sure that the work situation is satisfying, that you're releasing fears about abundance, that you're seeing all the blessings coming into your life, and that if there's a change that you want to make, you make that. Once you've done this, I feel like those are the requisite pieces necessary to allow this person to step in. But there is one more thing here, which is just to make that decision. Tell the universe, I'm ready. I'm ready now. And don't use the word soon, because soon in cosmic terms can mean like 5 years. So say, I'm ready now. Within the next year, I'm ready to embark on that partnership. I'm ready for love. I'm ready for abundance in all forms. Your outcome card is wonderful this month when we're looking at destiny, which really is your GPS. It's telling you, are you in the right sort of trajectory? It says, trust yourself. If you feel like things are okay, don't overthink it. A few moments ago when I was looking at some of the energy around the Seven of Swords and the Four of Pentacles, I was feeling that crown activation where it kind of felt like my scalp was on fire. So I feel like some of you need to go into the heart space, the gut, the third eye, but stop worrying so much about being practical. And sometimes practicality is overrated. Trust your intuition this month, trust your heart, and know that you're being led into the right direction, and everything's going to be okay, all right? Let's go ahead now and review everything that we talked about, and I'll leave you with your closing word. Your channeled message this month was to just allow yourself to let go of something and to really move on to the next thing, and that's what we're seeing here. There can be a sense of liberation once you've known that you can do everything that you possibly can to get on a certain path. And I think that for many of you, as we were looking here, there's going to be a chance to really kind of like graduate, go into something better, and start to celebrate that kind of creative flow of energy that wants to come through. We see a lot of indication that this is your month to step into something more meaningful. We have return of spirit and also the temple path here. Temple path being in your wealth area. So if there's any way that you can overlap this creative energy, the spiritual energy, and your purpose, what you're doing from day to day, that's going to be where you find your power. That's where the synchronicities are going to come in. The center card is Five of Wands. It's showing me that you're working really hard. A lot of times with the Five of Wands, there sometimes is a sort of feeling of needing either validation that things are going to be okay, or you kind of get lost in the weeds. What I think you can do to help differentiate yourself and hopefully get more attention than maybe you have in the past is to think bigger, bolder, and to not be afraid to sort of follow the beat of your own drum. And I think that's your key to success, because otherwise you do blend in. I've mentioned this before, but successful people tend to be bold people. They tend to paint with broad strokes, they go against the grain, and sometimes they're misunderstood at the beginning of their careers or when they first start a trend. So don't be afraid to be bold. That's part of this. That's part of the liberation. When you stop caring what people think and you start doing what you need to do, then that's when you know you're on the right path. Five of Pentacles in the deep past reversed, showing that, first of all, you just need to work on self-confidence and healing. There's a lot of fear-based cards when we're looking at this spread. The Five of Pentacles, the Seven of Swords, and the Four of Pentacles. All of these are reversed, which are actually indicating things are better than you think. So that's part of the message that I'm seeing as I take a quick glance over all of this. King of Cups is telling you to have some fun, especially towards the beginning of the month. Nine of Pentacles is indicating not only that things are headed in the right direction this month, but also as we look at the next 9 weeks and 9 months, you're in a really good trajectory, so keep up the good work. Four of Cups, make sure that you see all of the blessings that are coming through. Don't miss something because you're impatient or maybe just not as present as you should be. And speaking of that presence, make sure that as you're walking and you're sort of moving through the world, that you're careful, because Five of Pentacles can show a tendency towards a trip, a fall, or an accident if you're not paying attention. With Seven of Swords, really trust your gut this month. We actually have trust yourself here. So if things feel good, they probably are. If you start overthinking it, that's when you might be getting yourself into trouble. So just go with your first impression when it comes to communication and major decisions this month. Don't fear the flow of money. Educate yourself if you need that education. Make some smarter choices perhaps when it comes to time, energy management. But overall, things look balanced. We even have the quintessential Libra card here at the end with Justice. So I feel good about your overall spread. I think the key thing again is to shift the focus either onto something fun, onto something new, taking that chance and moving on and moving up, or maybe managing yourself a little bit more here. With the Nine of Pentacles, this is a card of independence. So again, some of you want to kind of break free and do your own thing. Looking at the extended forecast here, fresh air is speaking not only to literally getting out and enjoying nature, but to sort of clear your environment, clear your mind, and to try to reset what you're focusing on, what you're working on. The Temple path is talking about your job, really, and looking at, are you feeling fulfilled? Does this connect to the spiritual path that you want to be on? And if not, is there a way that you can move more towards that? Daydreams and decisions. Love wants to come in. It's kind of knocking on the door, but it feels like your mind is somewhere else right now. So figure out what's important to you and how much energy you want to put into relationships. Because right now it seems to be more sort of as an abstract than an actual. So this is up to you. The decision sits with you. Finally, trust yourself. This looks a lot like the World card to me. So it feels like some of you are on either a trajectory this month to make that change, or over the course of the next 9 to 12 months, it feels like a big shift is happening for you. The decision of when and how, part of that sits with you, part of it is in someone else's hands. So I think one of the things that you want to do this month is just let go and trust that it's happening. That can help the other person realize that you're not clinging, you're not needy, and maybe they need to act sooner than later so that they don't miss out on you and whatever you can bring to the table. So that brings your monthly reading to a close for this month. But if you ever want to talk a little bit more about what's going on either in November or in your life, if there's a bigger question, particularly if it involves making a career change or trying to sort out what's going on with relationships, etc., feel free to reach out to me. If you click on the first card in the video or the first link below, that'll take you to my website where you can check out rates and availability. And if that makes sense, then feel free to book an appointment and we'll chat. Otherwise, if you like what you see here, I mentioned at the beginning that everything is fan and viewer supported. So if you would like to support future programming just like this, then please click on the second card or second link. That'll take you to a page on my site where I talk about becoming a patron and how you can do it. It could be a one-time contribution through PayPal, you can do an ongoing contribution through Patreon, or you can even become a member of this channel. There's a lot of different ways and different levels, whatever you feel comfortable with. Just know that it does make a difference. It allows me to continue to buy supplies. It also allows me to set up the time that's necessary for production and just maintain the equipment as well. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's done that before, and also for anybody that's thinking about making it possible in the future. And finally, if you would like to share what you see here with your friends, with your family, I would love for you to do that. So the third way to show support is simply to share the word. And you can click on the third card and third link. This will take you to a page where you can join me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or sign up for my newsletter. Also, by the way, if you haven't clicked like and subscribe, please do that as well. I just want to say when you do share this, it actually helps me not just grow the channel, but it actually helps me on a planetary goal, which is to start conversations about spirituality, normalize that so everybody knows that this is okay, that we're supposed to be waking up. This is part of where humanity needs to be right now. And hopefully to give people the tools that they need to develop and pass that on. We're all passing on the torches here. So I just want to say thank you. There is a bigger purpose to asking for you to share the message, okay? And now let's leave you with your closing word this month. You are on a path towards movement, success, and change. But in order for change to happen, you have to let go. It seems sort of like contradictory. Part of what Libra wants to do sometimes is make sense of everything, right? Understand it from all perspectives. But what I'm trying to help you understand this month is that you have to just allow things to the cards to fall as they will. And balance is important this month. I feel like you've set yourself up for success. And if you can just relax and allow the universe to have your back, it'll all work out, okay? So shift the focus, decide to do something new if you'd like, trust your intuition this month, and let go of some of the fear, because that fear could actually be holding you back and helping you, or I should say hindering you from seeing things that want to manifest. So hopefully that helped you out. If you ever, again, want to talk a little bit, feel free to reach out. But otherwise, I just want to say thanks again. You have a lot of choices here on YouTube, and the fact that you spent a lot of time here with me today means the world. It's very humbling. So until we meet again in about a month's time, I wish you all the best. Sending you love, light, and abundance now and always. I'll see you in December.